Hey guys, it's Michael Furlong from Rentroll Maximiser here today with a long time, we've not spoken for a while, Rebecca Berry. Hello, good
Hi.
afternoon.
Hi.
So formally introduce you, Rebecca Berry, Department Head of, I'm going to say probably of the Hockingstuart Belle network, and the Hockingstuart network that I know, one of the premier offices. And I've been watching you from afar, not in a stalking way, but watching you from afar and just admiring the way you run the organisation, the ship, and kudos to you. You've been doing a bloody good job. How are you?
Thank you. And yes, I do agree that we are a premier office. How could I say anything else?
Let's not let anyone else through the network hear about that. But so thank you firstly for joining me today. I wanted to have a chat to you a little bit. There's a couple of reasons. The first one is that I'm really keen to try and find out how people, particularly the leaders, thought leaders, and you're in that category, the thought leaders of the industry, how they're going through COVID, how they're finding the market, but at the same time, what sparked the interest was the awards just recently. And so before we kick off, big congratulations. You must be really chuffed that it was Operational Leadership Award. That's the
right.
one. Yeah. And you're up against some tough competition.
I was, yeah. Sedona Smile as well. Just even to be up there is incredible. So I'm very humbled and so grateful. And obviously I had the backing of my team, which is one of the reasons why I managed to get this award. And it's winning this has just made all that hard work pay off. And I've never been more excited about something.
Well, 2020 is a year that we like no other, but more importantly, like one that we just don't want to have again. So yeah. Let's just talk a little bit, just to ease you through this. Talk to me a little bit about the agency. So used to be Hockingstuart alone, merged with Belle. So it's Hockingstuart Belle. You're one of the offices that has the co-branding. Yeah. But you've been in real estate 10, 12 years, thereabouts?
Yeah. So it's been about 12 years I've been with this particular office. I started with this company as a property manager. I hadn't had any property management experience when I walked through their door, but they saw something in me, obviously. And yeah, the rest of it is history. I had really good teachers and mentors along the way. And I learned from making my own mistakes. I learned from the mistakes that others made as well. I learned how to manage people and how not to manage people by looking at how others presented themselves in the workplace and how others managed their team.
So you started out when you first came 12 years ago to the office. What was your first role? Was it property management?
Yeah, I went straight into property management. I hadn't
with a
managed
portfolio?
a portfolio before. Yeah, it was about 180 properties. It was an absolute mess.
Baptism of fire.
Yeah, I came in and I had a girl do a handover for about probably a week or two with me, teach me the ins and outs of property management. Prior to that, I'd only had leasing consultant experience. And I picked it up, I put in the hours, I cleaned it up. It took a while. But once I had developed the relationship with the owners and tenants, it was quite a good and rewarding job.
So do you look back, I'm not going to ask you how old you are now, but when you look back 12 years ago, if you go back 12 years, are you a completely different person than what you are now?
I wouldn't say completely, but I am very different.
Sure.
I am much more patient now. Before I was probably more of a hothead, and I've got to have things now. I've got to make sure everything is perfect. I'm no longer a perfectionist, and I'm much more patient. But it's taken years to get this way.
So what was the balance there, Beck? Was it the kids that came along and accepting that kids just are kids? Or was it the bigger kids that were the staff you work with? Because they're both like running a kindergarten sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah, you're spot on. Look, it was probably having children, and 3 in very close, one after each other. They're pretty much just under 2 years apart, my kids. So, and I've got 3 of them. It's the patience, it's the kindness, the consistently being kind, showing patience and appreciation for them. And I think that's now reflected in the way I manage my team. Yeah, so property management, I was in that role for about a year and a half, and then I got pregnant with my first and went on maternity leave for a year.
Sure. So tell me a little bit about the agency. St Kilda, for those that are watching interstate, St Kilda is about 5-6 k's south along St Kilda Road, south of the Melbourne CBD. Would it be 5 k's? Is that what you
roughly,
are?
roughly, yeah.
Yeah, so 5 k's. There is a beachside element, so that's the nice part. There is a housing commission element. There's a rougher part. There's some beautiful homes, but you're not too far away from Bayside. You're also not too far away from Chapel Street, Albert Park. It really is centrally a hub, isn't it? Tell me a little bit about the agency.
Yeah, it's a beautiful location. Our agency's been here for almost 30 years, and some of the staff that bought the office originally are still here with us now. And I suppose rebranding from Hockingstuart to Belle, it was a fairly seamless transition, and our landlords were quite happy. We communicated with them really well. They felt the only change was the colour from red to green. So we managed to do that fairly seamlessly, retained all of our clientele, and I think it was all about communication, really. So we didn't really have too many hiccups there.
Were you expecting that a fallout?
I have heard that some offices, not within our network, but other offices that have rebranded have had quite a few problems when they were rebranding.
Sure.
But I think it's really based around communication and what you're telling your clientele, really.
I think also, and we've known each other for a while. I've been consulting for a number of years, and I do strongly say you've got to really annoy a client for them to pick up and leave.
Yeah.
You don't just annoy them once or twice. And it's typically, and Beck, maybe you have a view on this, it's not the last thing that tips them over the edge. It's the culmination of all of the things.
Yeah.
So if you're doing the right thing, you're collecting the rent, finding good tenants, open communication, managing the relationships well. If you're changing from a red to a blue to a green to a yellow, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's the same people managing their properties, and at the end of the day, that's why they stay with us. They stay with us for their property manager, and the consistency of the team that we have working for us.
Now, I spend a lot of time going in and fixing up offices where the department manager shouldn't be in the job, and the only reason they are is because they've never left.
Yeah,
I'm sure you would know people like that, that they've just progressively gotten older and more people have come in underneath, and it's damaging to the industry. You're not that. You've progressed along the way, and congratulations. I think from when we first met, I don't think you were a partner then, but you've been a partner recently. How long have you been partner?
Yeah, it's almost a year from last December.
Yep. I think we've met probably 3 years ago through some training stuff. So tell me a little bit about the agency. How many properties you got? Staff? More the staff. How many staff do you manage?
Okay, so I manage 18 staff members.
18.
Yeah.
That's a football side. You're not a department head. You're a coach.
Pretty much. Yeah. Sometimes
Who do you follow in football? Please don't say Richmond.
No, you're going to be really disappointed. I don't even follow the football. I'm from New South Wales. I've lived in England for a fair amount of years as well. So when I was younger, I used to watch the rugby league with my pop, but I have not watched any AFL games here. I'm really sorry.
No, I'm not. Please don't apologise, because my side finished second on the ladder, second last this year.
Yeah.
So I may as well not follow football either. So we're actually very similar. I had more interest in the Melbourne Storm winning than what I did with AFL. So 18 is just the PM team. Is that leasing, admin, and of course you've got sales. You don't manage those. That's different.
Yeah, sales is separate. I do get involved with them. Was when I bought into the business, I bought both the sales and the property management divisions. So I make sure that I keep an eye on what's going on there. I just want to know what they do, how they're trained. I like to know a little bit about the whole business. So I make sure that I am involved, and I engage a lot with the sales team as well. But yeah, so I've got about 12 property managers. We manage a rent roll of around 1,700 properties. When I say 12, I do have a job share portfolio as well. So I've got 2 girls running that one.
Okay.
I've got 2 BDMs. I've got 2 leasing consultants. admin and reception, and my accountant, of course. So yeah.
Receptions for the entire agency?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So it's all out of one office? Carlisle Street, is it Carlisle Street?
We're on Barclay Street. Yeah, we're in a two-story building. So sales is predominantly upstairs, property management is downstairs.
But one centralised business. You're not separating the two.
Yeah.
And did you grow up in the St Kilda area? Is that somewhere that I don't mean from it? You were saying before you spent time in England, but is that where you live now? So would you consider yourself a local?
No, I wouldn't consider myself a local. When we moved here from England, I did move straight to St Kilda East, and I was there for about 9 months. And then we ended up buying a property in Mordialloc. So I live out there and have done for the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years. I don't feel you need to live in the area to be an outstanding agent and to get known. My BDM lives in the area and he is amazing. And when he goes to appraisals, he can say any street and relate to any bar or any property. He's been through them all. So in a way, it is great, but I don't think it's not necessary.
That says to me two things. And one, the humorous side says he's an alcoholic. The other side, and just likes to party. The other side, he knows his area.
He really does know his area. He's incredible. He's so good.
I was a joke. I wasn't meaning it. So yeah, you're right. You don't need to be specifically local, but it's I think it's a nice fairy tale story. If you grew up in the area, you're born in the area, your business in the area. But Mordialloc to the office was at 20 minutes normal driving.
Yeah, about 30 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when we all go back to work, it'll be an hour again.
Yeah. I've already noticed the traffic's picked up already.
So 12 staff, 1750 properties, 12 PMs, 18 staff, 1750. What, just as we wrap this little section part up, what's the one thing that you've probably learned that you didn't think you'd need to by being a manager of so many people? So beforehand, you would have obviously, when you were a junior, you would have had managers and you would have thought, oh, this is easy. You know, they don't know what they're talking about. Now you're in that spot. What is the one main thing that you've learned?
I've learned so many things. Being a very new manager for the last 3 years, I've learned that you really do need to engage with your team. You can't just roll on in and think that you can manage people. It's all about building the relationship with each and every one of them, and not just knowing them. You want to really know them. You want to ask them questions about what they like, what they do, what makes them tick. You need to show interest in your staff to get the very best out of them. And you need to do that consistently. It's not just one thing that you do every couple of weeks. You pick up the phone, make a 5-second phone call. It's a long-term play. It's 100% effort every time you engage with someone, and it's listening so well so that, you know, in another week's time, you can go into that same conversation saying, oh, how's your brother now, and what's happened here, and blah, blah, blah. It's just listening, engaging, and being so genuine so that they want to come to you when they have problems, or if you do it that way, they'll trust you. And I think that's why we have such a great team here.
And I think you've just exemplified why you are absolutely kicking goals in the industry and why you're winning awards. It's the genuineness. Just in what you were saying to me just there now, I don't know if you saw it, but empathy, leadership, management just oozed out of there. It was great. It was. No, it's important because there's too many managers that are in the industry, as I said, that by default they just haven't left. Well, no one's fired them. So it's been an absolute pleasure. We will chat again. Thank you very much. So if we're looking at rentals or sales in around the St Kilda area, is it Hockingstuart? Is it Belle? What's your website?
Good question.
I've caught you off guard.
No, our website is www.bellepropertystkilda.com.
Belle Property. Yep. Fantastic. Thanks, Beck. Rebecca Berry, Department Head, Hockingstuart Belle, St Kilda. That's a mouthful, isn't it?
It is a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. It's been great chatting to you. Cheers.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.